Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is an extremely colorful and slightly offbeat Valentine using Brusho Crystal watercolor powders and Elizabeth Craft Designs fabulous stamps. So to start off with, I have the brand new Circles background stamp from Krista Snyder that I will be stamping onto some cold press watercolor paper using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. VersaFine is waterproof, so I knew it would hold up against all the water that I'm going to be spraying on this piece. And I used my Misty because this is such a big stamp. I figured it was going to take several stampings to get a perfect image, and indeed it did, especially since the watercolor paper has a texture on it. So I am going to be sprinkling this with my Brusho Watercolor Crystals. So I've got holes poked in the top using a push pin. And this is alizarin crimson that I'm just tapping onto the paper, and then I'm going to spray it with my distress sprayer to get water all over it and activate the color as you see there. And now I'm going to add Sunburst Lemon, which is a yellow, and that will blend a little bit with the red to create an orange, as well as stay yellow in certain areas. And then this is Sea Green. I'm going to tap this around. I'm going to try to avoid getting any green in the red because red and green are complementary colors, and if they blend, they will become brown. So, and same with purple and yellow. This is violet. So I am trying to avoid getting those two colors together too much, just because I didn't want to create mud. But I won't get into too much color theory, just something to be aware of if you are mixing colors. But I'm going to just go back and forth, sprinkling powder, spraying it with water, blotting it off with a paper towel, just back and forth until I get a nice, crazy, fancy colored background that I'm happy with. And blotting with a paper towel definitely helps keep it from getting too dark in certain areas, like that purple and red at the top where it's getting pretty dark. But I'm just going to set it aside to dry, and we'll see what we get. Now for my focal image, I am stamping the bee from the also brand new Patchwork stamp set. And I stamped that in Memento Tuxedo black ink onto some alcohol marker friendly cardstock, and I'm coloring with my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. So this is CT2, which is sort of my base yellow, and then I will add a little bit of shading with CT4, but I don't even have to blend that because it's so close in value. And then for red, I am using CR8 as the lighter shade on the button on the back and the little patches on the wings. And then I will add a little bit of CT4 to the patch on the wings, and then I'll add some shading to the red with DR5, just a touch, and then blend that out with the CR8. And then for the black stripes on the body and the thread in the button on the back, I am using IG10, which is a very, 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 very dark gray, really basically black. And then for the wings, I'm going to add IG2 for a little bit of shading, and then blend that out with the IG1 just by kind of coloring over the edges of the IG2 where it meets the white to just soften down the harshness of that gray just a little bit, because I wanted the wings to still be mostly white. And then I'll grab my black glaze pen and highlight the eyes and the thread in the buttons, and then I will actually later do the antenna, although you won't see me do that. And then I'm going to die cut that out with the matching die. Now for my sentiment, I'm using Be Mine from the Love Sentiments Clear Stamp set. And I'm going to alter this using a mask. So I'm going to first stamp down B using Gina K Designs Red Velvet ink onto some 85-pound white soft finish cardstock. And then I'm going to mask off where I have stamped with this is an all over Post-it note. And then I'm going to reposition it so that the E is sticking over, and you can see I had a little ink on that E. So it's a good thing I got it in the right place. And then so it becomes bee, like the insect that we just colored, right? And then I will stamp Mine next to it using the same ink to create the sentiment Be Mine. And now here are my sort of pieces all together. So I've die cut out the background panel. It's dry now with the second largest dotted scallop square, and then this is the second smallest stitched heart die with some dark fuchsia cardstock. And then I die cut out the sentiment using the smallest banner in the banners die set. And now with 10mm clear double-sided adhesive tape, I'm adhering down the watercolor panel to the front of this 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card base. That's 100-pound white soft finish cardstock. And then this mat for the heart, I freehand, like I fussy cut it freehand. I just held the heart down to a piece of 85-pound white soft finish cardstock and cut around it. So it's not perfect, but you know, it's close enough. And then as you'll notice, I have added white dots to the watercolor panel, and I did that using my Stampers Big Brush pen in white. And it's really easy, just dot it down. And then for my B, I'm using 6mm and 3mm adhesive to get this attached to the sentiment, and the sentiment has 6mm adhesive on the back, and I'm just going to press that whole thing in place on top of the heart. And then that entire piece is going to be adhered down to the front, the lower right of the front of the card. And at this point, I'm going to decide that I need a few more white dots. So I'm going to just take that big brush pen and basically just dot it. Like, there is no fancy anything happening here. I'm just like pressing it onto the paper in a dot. And I did have to go over the dots like 2 or 3 times, depending on the color it was on top of, just to get it really opaque. And then you can see there are some larger dots, which I just made by making a bigger circle with the pen. Nothing fancy happening here at all. But I did think it added like kind of a funky touch and pulled the white into the background that, you know, was in every other element. And now to complete the card, I decided I needed a few little yellow touches. So I grabbed 3 tiny yellow buttons to pick up on the button theme on the B stamp. And I'm adhering these down in sort of a loose triangle around the focal point using Ranger Multimedia Matte Adhesive. And that kind of helps draw attention to the focal point of the B and added just a nice little extra yellow touch there. And that is the completed project. And I have to admit, you know, not your typical Valentine, a little bit kooky. I think of it as being kind of artsy, but I really, really liked the way it came out. I think those Brusho watercolor powders are super fun. If you have not tried them yet, I hope you will do so, especially with those new Krista Snyder background stamps that are amazing. So thank you so much for watching. Supplies are linked in the video description and over on my blog, as well as on the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog today. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'd love to get a comment from you. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. I would love that as well. Here are 2 more projects I've done in the past for Elizabeth Craft Designs, so check those out. Thanks so much. Have a great day.